You grow up in Bakersfield, California. Your father drives a truck when he works. When he doesn't, he sits on the porch drinking beer and staring at nothing. Your mother leaves when you're 12. Postcard from Nevada 6 months later. That's it. You join the army at 18 because recruiters come to high schools like yours offering escape. They don't mention PTSD or disability rates or the fact that most guys you know will come back different. You come back different. 3 tours. 2 deployments where you saw things you don't talk about. 1 honorable discharge and a skill set that looks good on a resume but feels useless in a job interview. The ATF recruiter finds you at a job fair for veterans. He's wearing a suit that costs more than your car. He asks if you still want to serve your country. You say yes. He asks if you still want to belong to something. You say yes. He asks if you're willing to disappear. You say yes. 18 months of training. They teach you to build a person from nothing. New name, new history, new scars. They teach you to talk like you grew up in a clubhouse. They teach you to ride until the bike feels like part of your skeleton. They teach you that the brotherhood you're about to infiltrate is real, and that's exactly why it's dangerous. Because you'll want to believe it. Your handler, a woman named Sandoval who never smiles, gives you your final briefing. The vicious few. Outlaw motorcycle club running meth through 3 counties. Suspected of 2 murders, 1 firebombing, and more assaults than anyone can count. They're not the biggest club, but they're growing. And the guy they're growing around is a man named Preach. Preach is 47, been riding since he was 15, done federal time for assault, never ratted, never flipped, never even considered it. The club is his family. Literally. His brother is the treasurer. His cousin is the sergeant-at-arms. You're not going to flip Preach. You're going to become him. Your name now is Cole. Cole Hendricks. Grew up in Fresno, bounced around foster homes, learned engines in juvie, been riding since you could reach the pedals. No record longer than a misdemeanor because you're smart enough not to get caught. Looking for a place to land. You find the club's regular bar on a Tuesday night. Dive called the Rusty Spoke. 20 bikes out front. Music loud enough to feel in your chest. You walk in wearing a cut from a dead club, one that got absorbed years ago. It's disrespectful to wear a dead patch. That's the point. The guy at the bar, 6'4", tattoos up his neck, asks what the fuck you're doing. You say you're looking for people who know how to ride. He asks where your club went. You say they forgot what the patch meant. You didn't. That's your in. Not the lie. The anger underneath it. 3 months of hanging around. Buying beers. Fixing bikes for free in the parking lot. You're good with engines. Better than their current mechanic. A guy named Dog, 300 pounds and a laugh like a shotgun, asks why you're always around. You say because you got nowhere else to be. He nods. He understands. They vote you in as a prospect on a Thursday. Dog sponsors you. Means he vouches for you. Means if you're a cop, he's dead too. You look him in the eye and thank him. You mean it. That's the problem. Prospecting is 14 months of hell. You clean toilets at the clubhouse. You stand guard during parties while everyone else drinks. You run pickups that could be drugs or could be dinner, you don't ask. You ride at the back of every formation eating exhaust. A member named Stitches sends you on a 3-hour round trip for a specific brand of barbecue sauce. You bring it back. He says it's the wrong brand. You go again. The test isn't the sauce. It's whether you quit. You don't. Preach starts noticing you. Not in a friendly way. In a watching way. He asks you one night, just the 2 of you in the shop, what you want. You say you want to belong to something that doesn't disappear. He looks at you for a long time. Then he nods. That nod is the first time you feel like you might make it. It's also the first time you feel like you're betraying someone who hasn't done anything to you yet. The first real job is a collection. A dealer in Visalia been short on payments. You go with Dog and a guy named Switch. Dog does the talking. Switch does the staring. You stand by the door and look big. The dealer pays. On the ride back, Dog talks about his daughter's soccer game. She's 8. He's teaching her to ride a dirt bike. You laugh with him. You mean it. You file your first report through a dead drop at a truck stop bathroom. Magnetic box behind the 3rd stall. You write everything. Names, routes, who talked to who looked nervous. You write about dog's daughter. You don't know why you include that. You just do. Sandoval reads your reports and says you're doing good. She says it like a performance review. You hang up and feel nothing. The clubhouse is a converted warehouse outside town. Pool table, bar, couches that smell like smoke and sweat. A row of Harleys parked inside because Preach doesn't trust the street. There's a room in back nobody talks about. You've seen guys go in, heard sounds, seen them come out different. You don't ask. Prospects don't ask. One night, you're the only one awake. 4 a.m., can't sleep. Preach comes out of that back room. His hands are clean, but his shirt has spots. He sees you, doesn't say anything, just sits down next to you and lights a cigarette. You ask if he's okay. He laughs. Not a happy laugh. He says 20 years in this life and nobody ever asked if he was okay. He says most people see the patch and forget there's a person under it. He says you're different. He says that's why he trusts you. You sit there until sunrise. He talks about his brother, the treasurer, who's dying of cancer and won't see a doctor because doctors ask questions. He talks about his wife who left 10 years ago and took his daughter. He talks about retirement like it's a country he'll never visit. You listen. You're not acting. You're just listening. 6 months later, you're patched in. Full member. Death head on your back. Dog hugs you. Switch shakes your hand so hard it hurts. Preach gives you a knife, old, bone handle, says it was his father's. You take it. Your hands are steady. Your heart is not. That night, you file your report and include details about Preach's brother. The cancer. The refusal to see doctors. You know what they'll do with that information. Leverage. Maybe recruitment. Maybe something worse. You file it anyway. The information flows both ways now. You tell Sandoval about shipments. She tells you about raids to avoid. You become valuable because you keep the club safe while reporting everything they do. You're protecting them and destroying them at the same time. The math doesn't work, but you do it anyway. Dog gets arrested. Minor charge, possession, but he's looking at 6 months. His daughter, the one he's teaching to ride, is 8. His wife left years ago. You ask Preach if the club will help. Preach says the club helps members. Dog's a member. Preach looks at you like you're stupid. Of course the club helps. Your family. You realize then that Preach believes it. Every word. The brotherhood, the loyalty, the family. He's not running a criminal organization. He's running a tribe. And the tribe takes care of its own. The fact that the tribe also beats people, sells poison, and burns buildings, that's just what it takes to survive. You visit Dog in county. He looks smaller in orange. He asks you to check on his kid. You say you will. You do. You show up at his ex's apartment with groceries and cash. She looks at your patch, your bike, your face. She lets you in. The kid doesn't know you, but she's 8 and 8-year-olds are easy. You play dolls for an hour. You go back every week. Sandoval asks why you're visiting a convict's family. You say it's for cover. She says good thinking. You hang up and sit in your car and wonder when you started lying to both sides. Preach takes you on a run. For bikes, 2 states, a handoff in the desert. The handoff is money, $500,000, going to someone who doesn't show. You wait 4 hours in 100-degree heat. Preach doesn't complain. Nobody complains. Finally, a truck appears, exchange happens, you ride home. On the way back, you stop at a diner. Preach buys everyone pie. He says his dad used to take him for pie after jobs. Small jobs, not like this. His dad was a mechanic. Honest. Died when Preach was 19. You eat pie with men who've killed people. You laugh at Switch's stupid jokes. You watch the sunset over desert you'll never own. And for a moment, you forget you're wearing a wire because the wire isn't in your vest. It's in your head. And you can't turn it off. The bust is scheduled for 3 months out. Sandoval says they need more, need something bigger, need a murder or a major shipment. You say you'll get it. You hang up and drink until you can't feel your face. Stitches gets killed. Rival club, a bar fight that went bad. He was an asshole, but he was theirs. Preach calls a meeting. Everyone's there. The vote is unanimous. Revenge. You vote with them. You have to. But also you want to. That's the part you don't file. The night of the hit, you're on lookout. For blocks away, watching for cops. You hear the gunshots. For maybe 5. Then silence. Then bikes starting. They ride past you, faces you can't see behind helmets, and you follow them home. Nobody talks. Nobody celebrates. Dog, out on bail, sits in the corner and doesn't move. Preach goes to the back room. You hear him crying. Just once. Then nothing. You file the report. Names, dates, locations. You know what happens next. You file it anyway. 2 weeks later, the ATF hits. Simultaneous raids, 20 locations, 37 arrests. You're picked up with everyone else, cuffed, processed, the whole show. In the holding cell, Dog looks at you. Not angry, just looking, like he's trying to solve a puzzle. You look away. They separate you after 3 hours. Cooperating witness, they call it. You're in a hotel room with cable TV and a guard outside. Sandoval visits. Says you did good. Says you're going into witness protection. New name, new state, new life. You ask about Dog. She says he's looking at 12 years. You ask about his daughter. She doesn't know who that is. Preach's trial is 6 months later. You testify. You sit in a chair and look at a man you ate pie with, whose father's knife is in your apartment, who trusted you, and you tell a courtroom full of strangers everything. Every conversation. Every deal. Every name. You don't look away. Neither does he. He gets 40 years. His brother, the treasurer, dies in county before trial. Cancer. Never saw a doctor. You move to a small town in Washington. Name is Mark now. You work at a hardware store. Same as the surgeon. Same $11 an hour. Same cardboard smell. You don't ride anymore. You can't. The sound of a Harley makes your chest tight. One night you're watching TV. News segment about an undercover agent who infiltrated a club in Oregon. They don't show his face. They show his bike. Same model you used to ride. You turn it off. You think about Dog's daughter sometimes. She'd be 16 now. Old enough to ride. Old enough to understand what happened to her dad. Old enough to hate the right person if someone told her who that was. You still have Preach's knife. You don't know why. You keep it in a drawer next to socks you'll never wear. Some nights you take it out and hold it. The bone handle is warm. You put it back. You go to work. You stock shelves. You go home. You do it again. Sandoval calls once, 5 years later. Says there's a new club, new target, they need someone who knows the life. You hang up. She doesn't call again. Sometimes you drive to the edge of town where the highway opens up and semis roar past. You watch them disappear into the dark. You imagine you're on one, going somewhere, being someone else. But you're not. You're Mark now. Mark works at a hardware store. Mark doesn't have a past. But Mark has a knife in his drawer. And Mark flinches when he hears a loud exhaust. And Mark knows that somewhere, Dog is still doing math in his cell, trying to figure out when his friend became the reason he'll never teach his daughter to ride. You were supposed to be the good guy. That's what they told you. You believed it. You still believe it. But good guys don't keep knives they don't need. Good guys don't dream about pie in desert diners. Good guys don't wonder every single day if the family they destroyed was more real than the one they were protecting. You were undercover. But the cover became you. And now there's nothing left underneath. You're Mark. You work at a hardware store. You're free. You've never been more trapped.